The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network.
The mind of Pat Popolizio is a wondrous thing. And for you Pac wrestling fans, you'll get to go inside the mind of the Skip each and every episode here on the Pac Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. Now, here's your host, NC State Director of Athletics Digital Communications, Brian Reinhardt.
Welcome to a brand new episode of the Pac Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. After a few weeks off, we are back, and this episode promises to be one of our most exciting yet. I'm your host, NC State Director of Athletics Digital Communications, Brian Reinhardt, and usually at this time, I introduce the head coach of the Wolfpack, Pat Popolizio, but after a couple weeks of team camp, Pat has hit the recruiting trail, so we are just going to roll right into our interview segments, and these two interviews were some of the best ones that we've done yet. Up first, we landed that big fish that we've been promising. We have former national champion Nick Gwiazdowski on today. He'll be talking about his experiences with USA Wrestling, talking about his time at NC State, and just what his future holds and how busy his next couple of months will be. We also have a brand new sponsored segment today. Over the last month, we had a very generous donation to this podcast, and we are going to be meeting a bunch of people that work behind the scenes of the Wolfpack Wrestling program in our Hidden Heroes segment. So stay tuned for these two interviews in today's Pac Mentality Pop-Ins podcast. Very exciting times here at the Pac Mentality Pop-Ins podcast as we have our very first sponsor segment. About a month ago, we had one of our listeners make a very generous donation to this podcast. I wanted to thank this individual and maybe even interview them on the podcast, but they insisted on staying anonymous. So as a way to incorporate their donation to the podcast, I came up with the idea to have a different segment on upcoming episodes highlighting those that work behind the scenes with the NC State wrestling program to give our listeners, a little bit of the behind the scenes knowing and give the individuals that are working some of the proper credit that they so much deserve. So this is our very first in a new sponsor segment called Hidden Heroes. Our first guest in this series is somebody you probably have not heard from before, but you almost always have seen at Wolfpack Duels. He is very photogenic with some of his celebrations on the bench. Meet NC State's athletic trainer, Will Conlon. Will, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me on. It's good to finally get on.
People would recognize the picture, maybe not the voice. You have some great celebrations.
I try. It's tough not to get behind these guys and get wrapped up in the things. So yeah, emotions and whatnot just get to flying out there.
And also, this is a great segment. Not many interviews with the sports medicine athletic trainer, so this must be a first.
Yeah, no, we're kind of, I don't want to say across the board afterthought, but, people don't really think of us unless, injuries, things like that occur. So, it's good to, like I said, get on the podcast here and just kind of shed a little light on what I do.
I very much take pride in, I'm myself a behind the scenes guy, but since this podcast, I have floated out my request for a pay raise, the amount of hours that I work, so it's just fun now. So a little background on Will first. He graduated down the road from High Point with a degree in athletic training in 2008, then completed his master's from Georgia State in 2010. Will, what made you want to get into athletic training while you were in college?
I get this question a lot, and I tell people I didn't pick it. It picked me. But a lot of it boiled down to, growing up just wanting to help other people and combining it with my passion for sports. So it's kind of like a marriage of sorts. And that's how kind of things rolled, and that's how, got in just at the high school level, working with my high school athletic trainer, and then, opening a few doors there. And next thing you know, it's time to go to college. So, it just kind of blossomed from there.
And you joined NC State in the summer of 2012 and have worked exclusively with the wrestling team since that time. What was your background like in wrestling before you started working with the Wolfpack?
So, going through my undergrad days, we had to get a variety of experiences along the way. And one of the big things I looked forward to every year was the state of North Carolina high school wrestling tournament. And they took us out there, gave us a good chance to kind of see the sport of wrestling, how, what's involved with it there. And that's, to be honest with you, I didn't wrestle, as an athlete in undergrad. But like I said, that's my sports medicine experience with the sport of wrestling, and just kind of enjoyed it ever since.
You have no wrestling experience as an athlete. Have you had a match here at NC State?
A great match. I couldn't ask for a better situation and a better staff to work with. So no, things have been great here at NC State.
So as the athletic trainer in the sports medicine office, can you describe your role with the wrestling program?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, I'm in charge of the day-to-day health care for the wrestlers, and I'm responsible for taking care of everything from injuries, illnesses, to blood time on the mat for different bleeding, right down to another big part is the whole skin infections and management of that, and as far as wrestling goes. So, there's a lot of, what I call A to Z, the bumps, the bangs, even, into the recovery side of things, just getting the guys ready to go, for the next match.
And in college athletics, there's no such thing as a day-to-day job description. I know it varies from the off-season to during the season. But take us through a day in the life of a student athlete during the season that might be trying to get over, say, maybe an ankle sprain. What are some of the resources our guys have available to them through sports medicine? Yeah, no, absolutely. We're very fortunate here at NC State. We have tons of different resources that we can offer. We have various orthopedic physicians, various gen med doctors, chiropractors, massage therapists, physical therapists, and just a host of different providers that can kind of come in to help take care of our wrestlers. And I actually don't know the answer to this, but what role does the athletic trainer play in weight certification? And just explain weight certification overall. Yeah, definitely. Weight certification is, not a lot that probably most people know about or your average fan knows about. Starting the season, basically, and a lot of this is driven by the rule book, is that, guys have to certify for their specific weights that they wrestle at. And basically, it's a combination of their body fat percentage, their hydration status, as well as their kind of current weight. It's thrown together to create this formula, which then gets entered into the weight management system. And the weight management system basically allows a wrestler to drop a certain percentage of their body weight at any given time to, like I said, allow them to weigh in at various weight classes. But the biggest thing that it promotes is just kind of safe weight loss and safe weight management practices. Going back to your athletic trainer, what are some of the common injuries you see during the season, and what was maybe one of the worst things that you've had to deal with? Yeah, so in the sport of wrestling, I tell people, I see a little bit of everything. We have everything from concussions to ankle sprains to knee sprains to skin infections to lacerations. So I have to be pretty much well-versed in a little bit of everything. And, to be honest with you, it's tough to predict necessarily trends, but, even at my time here at NC State, I think I've seen, my fair share of upper body injuries, lower body injuries. So just a random assortment. As far as kind of maybe the most interesting injury I've seen, some of the various fractures can be kind of a little grueling. But, like I said, I see a random assortment of things. So,
I don't want to say things don't really, entertain me much anymore. But, like I said, it keeps me busy, and, it's just good to be able to assist and help take care of these guys when they do have a need.
And being the athletic trainer for a collegiate team, it's certainly not 9 to 5. Even though I got a rip on you, you kind of rolled into work at 12:30 today. But talk about the time commitment it takes to be in this profession.
Yeah, absolutely. In season, I mean, we're basically here and around when all the guys are here. I'm present for, practices. I travel with the team, and even outside of kind of those, there's still treatment hours that I hold. We're still around for weight training sessions, conditioning sessions. So, the days can get long, and especially mixing it in with travel and all-day tournaments. So, sometimes it's not uncommon to, work 12, 14-hour days in season, at a time. But, all the guys and the staff definitely help to make it worth it, though. So at times things can kind of move right along, and next thing you know, I've been here 12 hours today. So
at the NCAA championships, the finals, they roll out this nice stage. There's only one mat going on, and you have one of the best seats in the house, right behind the coaches in the corner. You've already been very fortunate to have a Wolfpack wrestler win a national championship 3 different times. Can you talk about what a feeling that has been to see the success on that level, and you're right there for all the action?
Yeah, no, it's pretty wild, and definitely I get a lot of people remind me of that here and there. Oh wow, that must be pretty cool. But and to put it shortly, yeah, it is. It's a pretty neat experience to be right there on the edge of the mat, especially in the NCAA championships. I mean, it's some of the most memorable times that I can recount, and just the emotion of the building and the match and all that. I tell people and joke people it's tough to watch wrestling anywhere else except for sitting mat side when it comes to the NCAA championships.
We have 17 newcomers joining the program for the upcoming season, and they are all on campus right now in summer school. From a sports medicine standpoint, what are some of the biggest adjustments they have to make from high school to college in taking care of themselves once practice is over?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of these guys kind of come from, various high schools and various backgrounds. Some of them, really haven't been exposed to, the role of an athletic trainer. So, most of the guys that we bring in, nothing but, very thankful for the services and things like that and the help that we provide. But like I said, a lot of them, this is kind of new to them. So it's kind of feeling out, and a lot of it's too, figuring, hey, we're here to help them. So them figuring out when to ask for help or when to, not ask for help. So that's, like I said, a big adjustment is just, hey, this is a new role that a lot of them haven't interfaced with.
Will, thanks for letting us pull back the curtain a bit and letting our fans get a glimpse into what it is to be in the sports medicine field. And especially thank you for all of your hard work and dedication and helping the NC State wrestling team to the levels of accomplishment it has reached over the past few seasons. We appreciate what you do, and it's really interesting to hear what you do now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to kind of, like I said, pull back the curtain on, probably what a lot of people, don't realize what goes into it. But no, thanks for the opportunity.
This Hidden Heroes segment has brought to you by a very generous donation by one of our listeners who wanted to remain anonymous. We're very appreciative of that individual's gift to this podcast. If you would like to donate anything to this podcast, please reach out to us on Twitter or email me directly. I love to correspond with our fans, and with our next donation, I look forward to seeing what ideas that individual will have as I'll incorporate your gift into this podcast. You can reach both Pat and myself on Twitter at PackWrestle, and my email is bcreinha@ncsu.edu. Joining us now on the Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast, former NC State national champion and current member of the U.S. World Team, Nick Gwiazdowski. Nick, great to finally have you on this podcast.
Yeah, Excited to be on here. It's been a while. It's been going, and I finally got an opportunity to get behind the mic.
Episode number 23, actually, of this podcast, and we finally landed our big fish. I had to do a lot of negotiating, but once I said Pat wanted you to be a guest on the podcast, you actually texted me the other day and asked when you could be on, so I appreciate your initiative here.
Yeah, whenever Pat gives me a call, I got to step up to the plate. Can't let my man down like that.
Doesn't seem like that long ago. I was nervous whenever you had a live mic, but this podcast is taped and recorded, so we're good. You've had a lot of media requests than I've ever asked you. I hope you realize that now. But are you enjoying promoting the sport now and just promoting yourself a little bit more?
Yeah, I enjoy, talking with people like this. I think it's a good opportunity to kind of let people know who I am and what I'm about and kind of what got me here. And sometimes it gives people a different insight on my personality and my day-to-day life. Your
personality is out there a little bit. We're going to dive into that. But unfortunately, for as much as Pat wanted you on his podcast and be a guest, he isn't here today. After a great week of running the Wolfpack Wrestling Camp, the Skip is now on the road and heading to Fargo. And you've actually been around the Wolfpack Wrestling Camp the last couple of weeks. How is that experience for you to be able to teach and interact with the kids that are now big fans of yours?
It's cool. Going from, years ago when I would go to wrestling camps to being a college clinician, now being a postgraduate clinician and meeting kids, and you get kids asking you all these questions and about your day-to-day life and what different matches are like that they've watched on TV or messaging you on Instagram thanking you for the techniques and this and that kind of stuff. It's cool, and I'm glad I could, even if it's a small way, kind of, impact their life and maybe make their week better in some way. So it's fun.
You're very friendly on the Instagram, on the Twitter, on social media. How do you have time to do anything else? You're always on there.
In between practices and lifting weights, I got some free time in my hands. So I'm on there, and if things come across kind of weird, they're definitely joking. Very rarely are there serious things said in an aggressive manner. So don't go reading stuff thinking like, wow, this guy actually going to fight someone. No, it's all a front.
And it was hard to pin you down for this podcast. You really have become a world traveler with all of your experience with USA Wrestling. What does your schedule look like over the next couple of months?
Next couple of months, we have a couple of training camps. This Sunday, I'm heading out to Colorado Springs to the Olympic Training Center for a week. And then we're going to head from there to Istanbul, Turkey for the Yasser Dogu International Ranking Tournament. We'll compete there. August, we have another 2-week training camp out in San Diego area. It's at a military base. I can't think of the name of the base off the top of my head. And then September, I believe we have another 2-week training camp. And then October, we go to, right now, I think it's Germany for probably a week. And then we'll go to Budapest, Hungary for the week of the World Championships.
And you mentioned a lot of places you're going, but what are some of the places you've already been around the world?
Man, quite a few. I'll count both vacation and competition because some of that into each other. I've been to Spain multiple times, Paris, France. I've been to Sweden. I've been to Germany. I've been to Poland. Been to Italy. Been to Iran twice. Been to Azerbaijan once. Been to Russia 3 times. I think that's it.
First class travel, or are we stuck in coach?
I'm a coach guy. As I've built my traveling, I'm up to United Gold, but you won't catch me in the business class yet. But there's some tough travel once you get over to those Eastern European countries and you get on those planes and the plane's packed to the brim and you got about 20 inches of leg room and you're sitting next to 2 guys that haven't showered in a couple of days. So.
Now, I hope none of their executives are listening to this podcast because I would hate to ruin a sponsorship opportunity. But me and you were both in Lima, Peru airport about a week apart back in May. And honestly, it was probably my least favorite airport ever. It was just wall-to-wall mayhem. Do you have any good, bad travel stories that you've encountered? I know you love to tweet at airlines about any issues you encounter.
Yeah, I actually was in Lima, Peru. 2 weeks, or yeah, probably 2 months ago now. Probably the worst is when you get a bag lost.
I thought you toted around your bag like you did in college. Do you not do that?
Yeah,
anymore?
no. Now when I go away for a week, I got to pack a big bag, and I'll pack a couple, an extra set of clothes in my bag and a pair of wrestling shoes. But now, like, I think the worst one lately, when I went out to Colorado Springs back in January, my bag got lost. I was there for 10 days, and I didn't have a bag for probably 4 of them. And it got left in New Jersey. That's probably the worst, I think. Last time we went to, I think it was Russia, we spent probably an hour and a half on the tarmac just sitting there on the airplane. And that's long when you got a 9-hour flight ahead of you. So you already put in, 10% of your time, and the plane wasn't even moving.
The trip? It was like negative 20 degrees or something?
Yeah, out in Krasnoyarsk, Russia for the Ivan Urigin tournament. It's 12-hour time difference out in Russia, and it's probably about negative 10, negative 20. Gets around, one day I got around 0, and you're like, wow, I can unzip my jacket a little bit. So it's some of the places are really interesting and different, but you just kind of take them for what they are, and kind of when you go home, be like, I'm glad I live in the U.S.
I know you're still New York at heart, but you've been down in Raleigh for quite a few years. What do you like most about living in Raleigh and just being based out of here?
When I first moved to Raleigh, it was a lot different than New York. Probably the two biggest things for me was I didn't know anyone here, and the climate is much hotter than I was used to year-round, which kind of burnt me out a little bit and not knowing anyone. But I'm now in my 6th year down here, so it's my home, and I enjoy being here. I know a good amount of people, not just around the town, but probably around the athletic department most of them. I'm probably one of the longest tenured people in this building, being here for 6 years. And it's a good place. There's a lot going on, and anytime I find myself like thinking there's nothing going on, I just have to kind of search around the web a little bit, and it's like, wow, all these things are going on. I miss them regularly. I miss them on the weekly, or concerts or shows, stuff like that I enjoy going to. So there's definitely a lot going on, and I've adjusted to it, and I'm happy I'm here.
I know you appreciate some of your hometown shout-outs. What do you miss about back home up in New York?
Man, probably the biggest things I miss is hanging out with some of my friends. Like, I'm coming down in September, so that's always fun when I get to team up with those guys. But also there's a couple places I like to go, and go up to the lake, hang out with some friends, and go to their restaurants and stuff like that. So those are things I still need to widen my circle down here and get to meet those type of people.
Talk about New York. Your relationship with Pat dates back to even before high school. Can you talk about that relationship? I know he's not here right now. He skipped out on this podcast. But how did it start, and just how has it grown over the years?
Yeah, so I probably first met Pat when I was in like 9th or 10th grade at a wrestling clinic. And he was brothers with my high school wrestling club coach. I was like, wow, these guys are totally different. They don't look like each other, and Pat's way more soft-spoken than Frank. And now that I know them both very well, I'm like, they're actually very similar. But I met him there, and then in the recruiting process, I was a important part of their recruiting at Binghamton and landing me there. So I knew I had importance to him, and then as the years went on, we continued to grow, and now we're friends. I still I'll call him coach here and there, but a lot of his time is spent working with the university program and the business side of our regional training center. So he's not in there with the day-to-day my workouts because he's got bigger fish to fry. So he does a great job with those things and managing a lot of people. So give him a lot of credit, but at the same time, I'm not afraid to joke with him and talk about some things. So
you never tag him on Twitter. Why not?
Just kind of think it's funny. we personally just say, Pat, when you see this, FaceTime me, because we know he sees things. He's always on his phones. There's just kind of a way to bother him, get under his skin a little bit.
So here at NC State, 2 NCAA titles, 3 NCAA finals appearances, 3 ACC Wrestler of the Year honors, very memorable Wolfpack career, leading this program to new heights. What are some of your favorite memories of wrestling here at NC State?
Probably some of my favorite ones are definitely winning national championships. Those are right up there with the rest of them. And kind of being the first to do that, but also knowing that, like, as I sit back and watch the guys wrestle in the room day to day, I'm like, I probably got like another 3 years of being the best guy in this program in history, because there's some really good guys in there that would I think, easily surpassed me, which is good because that's, means our program's getting better. And but that, and then kind of becoming a more of an elite program and helping kind of lay that foundation. I'm still involved with it, not as directly, but I'm sure people still think of NC State wrestling and think of my big ugly mug with it. So I'm fine with that.
And since your collegiate days, it's been one heck of a journey. You've now transitioned over to freestyle full time. Lots of tweets saying you've gotten bigger since your NC State days. What weight are you at now?
It's all nonsense. I weigh the same. I've probably weighed the same for the past 5 years, give or take 5-8 pounds. It's just a little bit of a different diet, just a little bit of a cleaner diet, nothing spectacular, but definitely a lot of work in the weight room with my coach Dane Miller out of Garage Strength in Pennsylvania, and the supplement company I work with, Earth Fed Muscle. So those type of things, and just kind of being more mature and making smarter decisions with my diet and consumption, and still definitely training hard and stronger than ever.
New York pizza still in the diet or out?
Yeah, no, I definitely won't leave pizza out. I get that in about once a week. But I leave some of the bread out and some of the other recreational foods out.
So internationally, you're at 125 kilos. You never did technically answer what weight you're at, but
about 255,
okay.
260 in pounds. I think at Final X I weighed in at 117 kilos, so 2.2. You guys can do the math on that.
This is a podcast, not a math. But international level, what are some of the countries that stand out as best in the world that you face? Man,
they're pretty much all located in that eastern part of Europe. Last year's world champ was out of Georgia. Azerbaijan's tough. Russia's, 1, 2, 3 deep, pretty good at the 125 kilo weight class. The Turk is the return, like he won the last 3 before the Georgian. He won the Olympics. Iran, they always got tough dudes. Every country that takes the sport serious, there's big humans, there's big tough humans all around the world. So I know a lot of times you think of countries and you're like, wow, that country can't have big guys. But like, there's big dudes all around the world. They're big, strong, mean dudes. So it even catches me off guard. Sometimes I'll be wrestling some guys and you shake hands. You're like, damn, this guy's hand is big. Like this guy's wrist is like another inch bigger than mine. And you're like, oh, that's how it goes. The world's a big place. So you kind of got to be ready for anyone because the world's such a big place and you never know where someone's been in their garage training or lifting with some prehistoric weight set, and they're big and strong and ready to roll. So
last summer was kind of your breakout. Now, you did not bring me to Paris with you, so I didn't get quite a feel. But despite that, you still earned a bronze medal at the World Championships. How rewarding was that run to the podium?
It was definitely rewarding, especially because how important it was in the team race, and literally we beat Russia by 1 point. So every point, every win mattered a lot, and being part of that was pretty special to me. But it was fun. It was definitely, being that it was like my first legit, I shouldn't say legit, but my first world championships. And you go to tournaments and there's two really good guys in my bracket also, but not everyone in the world championships. There's everyone in there. Everyone who's good is there. No one's skipping out. No one, everyone's there. So being able to win 5 matches at the world championships is definitely a rewarding feeling, and beating some of those guys. And it felt good, but I think it's a competitor in me. After I walk out of there, I'm like, I think there was something I left behind. Like, I know I can do better than that, and that's kind of what fuels me. Is not the other things. It's just like, did I give everything I had? Is there anything left in me? Did I get what I wanted? And that kind of is what going to draw me back. So.
And just a few weeks back, you won Final X, which pushes you to Hungary in October for the World Championships yet again. Yep. Final X was a new qualification for the U.S. this year. How did you like the process of qualifying?
I thought I was 50-50 on it. Part of me, I think it's good to give fans more opportunity to watch, like a little bit of I don't even know if we want to call it a season. It's really just the same matches drawn out over 3 weekends. But at the same time, 3 weekends is a long time. That's 21 days. So from the first date when guys wrestle in Lincoln, you know, I'm at home watching. It's like, oh, these guys made the world team. It's like, oh, but I got another 2 weeks for my opportunity to roll. So it was cool to watch it, how the different locations went, and I'm curious how the numbers and the money coming in looked. But I knew we got paid more, so that's always a good benefit. But at the same time, it's you can't let it impact you that much, and I don't think I did. I knew when my date was. I knew I was going to be ready to roll for that.
And going back to the Wolfpack RTC, our current coaches work with you all the time, and it's headed up by Obi Blanc. How big of a role has Obi played in your success?
Obi's been a big part. He was kind of number 2 when Frank Beasley was running it. Obi was in there a lot, and since Frank departed for his head coaching job at George Mason, Obi took the reins. And we've built our relationship. I've always been cool with Obi. We're getting along really well.
Do you two scrap in the room?
No, he'll run a couple of drills where I'll need to work on some stuff, but no, I don't grab a hold of little Obi. I think I may hurt him. But then again, he's got dad strength too, so I wouldn't want to actually mess with him. But no, he's helped me a lot, and he competed at a very high level for years, and he's worked with some of the best that our country's had to offer. So he understands what it's like, what you go through, how your attitude can change, and how sometimes I'll be a little fussy in the room, and you know, not in the best of moods and stuff like that. And he'll understand that, and you know, when it's over, we're cool, and there's nothing personal meant when things get heated or those type of things go on. But yeah, I'm very grateful that not just him, but even the other coaches, but mainly Obi, the time that they put into me, because it's not in their job description. They're not paid to coach a 25-year-old that comes in 6 times a week. But they do, and they definitely give me their best and give me good input and give me things that I need to improve on.
And since you're training full-time now, how does sponsorships and income work for you now that you're out of school?
Yeah, so I get paid through the Wolfpack Wrestling Club, and Oak Grove Technologies is a huge part of that. Mark Gross, in charge of that operation, is really kind of the biggest thing going for me in terms of letting me do what I want to do and compete and represent the USA, and also take down sportswear out of Georgia. Asics footwear. So go get yourself a pair of Asics. They're as big as they get in the wrestling world, and running, and basically all types of training, and earth-fed muscle and garage strength, like I mentioned earlier, is a big part of, and people give me their time and their professionalism. And you know, right now my strength coach is over in Uzbekistan coaching the Junior World Championships, and I got him texting me asking me how the lifts went. So those type of people that definitely commit full time to what I do. Let me just think, make sure I'm not leaving anyone out here. I think that's it. Yeah. So if you want to join the team, you know, feel free to reach out, Twitter.
I was going to say, plug some of your stuff.
Yeah, definitely. If you want to become part of the team and get with us, feel free to reach out. We're always looking to implement new people and take people on with us. So
we'd actually love to have you as a sponsor on this podcast, so you could reach out to us and sponsor the podcast.
Hopefully sometime soon. I'm, when I get that size, I'll be gladly willing to give back.
We're waiting.
Keep waiting.
So at the Wolfpack RTC, what's a normal day look like for you?
Well, for me at least, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I lift in the morning down here in the weight room, and then Tuesday and Thursday, one or both the days, I'll come in the morning, wrestle light, just kind of work on some technical skill, and then Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I'll wrestle in the afternoons, whatever time the practice is set up at with our partners, and go through anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half of wrestling drills and live wrestling and some conditioning. Saturday and Sunday, for the most part, is off. For me, just try to recover from the week and get ready to go again on Monday. So those type of things, and that's a lot of time, not just on my end, but also all those workouts, I'm in the mat room. Obi's in there too. We got wrestling partners coming in, and Tommy and Timmy and Lee and Kevin Jack and Jacob Casper. Those guys are coming in. So it's a full crew we got.
I know the 2020 Olympics, they're in Tokyo. They're on your short horizon. I would love to be invited to go with you if you want to pay. But after the Olympics, I've been pushing you towards this. Any WWE pro wrestling aspirations down the road?
Oh, man, Brian, I know you're a big fan. I just don't know if it's really up my alley. I think I can. I don't think it's impossible. I think I can definitely do it, but I don't know if that's really me. But I don't want to count anything out. But
I will still push you. I've helped you with your interviews, your promos.
Yeah, you have. So I just gotta see what I want to do, and there's some other things I enjoy doing. So
okay.
I don't know. I get conflicted.
Will you be a coach someday?
Coaching is one of those things. Getting in business is one of those things. Maybe mixed martial arts. I don't know. Oh. I'm not really sure.
Okay. Well, they're a huge recruiting class. I know you're around the program a little bit. NC State brought in 17 newcomers, couple new heavyweights. You've only been in the room a couple times with some of these guys, but what do you think of the new crop of NC State wrestlers that have come into the program?
So far from what I've seen, they are pretty tough dudes. I've only been to probably 3 workouts with them, 4 workouts. And the difference between them and what I showed up here in 2013, I was like, damn, these dudes are pretty tough. Like, they're wrestling hard. They got good skills. Some are out of shape, but that's, it's July, so that's all right. But definitely a skillful group. And even the questions some of them are asking me, I'm like, okay, now you're making me think a little bit. They're not just real simple questions. They're a little deeper in terms of technical skill and those type of things and the skill sets they already have. So that's always exciting to see that kids are coming in with that type of knowledge and IQ, wrestling IQ. So I'm looking forward to it. We graduated a handful of guys last year, and my favorite sports team, I think, is still going to be pretty darn good this year.
We hope to see you on the bench for some duels. You really stepped up your suit game last year. We were impressed.
Yeah, now that I make a little more money, I can dress a little nicer, but you probably still catch me in the higher deck, so I could say what I want to say without people hearing.
You do like to hide up there and make your comments. Yeah. We appreciate it. Yeah. One last question. I'll get you out here on this. At 18, when you started the whole college wrestling, what was your favorite cardio machine?
Oh, man. I never liked running. When I first started wrestling, at Binghamton, I really didn't like to lift either. Now I really enjoy lifting. I would probably say an Airdyne. It's probably still my favorite piece.
Well, I was going to say, at 25, what's your favorite cardio now?
Probably still the Airdyne. Probably the least amount of impact on me. I'm still not a big runner. I'll do some sprints and stuff. I don't know, my 6'1", 260-pound frame is not really constructed for running. But probably the Airdyne or those type of stuff.
Nick, thanks for stopping by. Your interviews are usually of epic proportions, and our fans are going to love getting to hear from you. And I promise next time you're on, Pat will be right here firing off questions, and I really look forward to you interviewing the Skip Some.
Yeah, next time I get on here, I will be sure to grab my friend Pat if I can grab a hold of him somehow or find him and drag him in here. The guy's usually on the run, but I'll hunt him down. I
don't know about on the run, on the Stairmaster maybe.
Yeah, right. He doesn't go anywhere. He just goes up and down.
I want to thank everybody for listening today. This is your Pack Mentality Pop-Ins podcast covering all things NC State wrestling. Until next time, Wolfpack wrestling fans, go Pack.
Mentality Pop-Ins podcast is produced by the Mat Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, go to MatTalkOnline.com.